for more on the Phase 1 trade deal, we're joined by Phil Levy. He's chief economist at Flexport. Phil, thank you so much for coming on our show. I just like your initial reaction to the Phase 1 deal. Looking at the terms of it, is it all it's made out to be?
No, it's not all it's made out to be. I think we need to take it for what it is, which is it's a truce, a ceasefire, if you will, in this trade battle. It doesn't really fix the problems between the two countries, but it saves us from some escalation of tariffs, which were very damaging.
Phil, we're looking at those promises of Chinese purchases of U.S. products, whether it's farm, energy goods, even manufactured products like aircraft. When you have these kind of commitments already in place, to what extent, if you look at this economically speaking, does it distort the market and the natural forces of supply and demand?
Oh, I think that's a very serious concern. This is what trade economists have long derided as managed trade, that it's very hard to hit those kinds of numbers in any circumstances, given the size of the purchases they've described. But it's particularly tough to know what the mechanism is if you don't have the Chinese government getting more involved in the economy, which has traditionally been the opposite of what the U.S. wanted. I guess the final concern with that is the most likely way to do this is to divert trade flows from one country to another, and that would disadvantage some of the other major trading countries in the world.
Does it provide this deal, does it provide any certainty for supply chain movements?
I think it helps a bit in that regard. The news isn't always good. As you noted in your reports, you've got a very substantial amount of trade. I believe it's about 2/3 of U.S. imports from China that will still be subject to tariffs, some at the 25% level, some at the 7.5% level. But we probably have the highest level of certainty that we've had since early 2017, when we've been having a whole succession of threats and deadlines, and it's been very hard to know what would happen next. This is not ironclad, but I think we now have a pretty good idea what 2020 will look like on the tariff front between the U.S. and China.
How protracted do you think this is going to look like? I mean, it seems that some top Trump administration officials have said, okay, maybe no Phase 3, but there might be Phase 2, A, B, and C.
Yeah, I think what you've seen is if you separated the components of the negotiations into feasible and nearly impossible, they put feasible into the Phase 1 deal and they put nearly impossible into the Phase 2 deal, which then got recently postponed until after the U.S. elections. So I don't think I would be holding my breath waiting for the Phase 2 deal to come about, whether that's A, B, or C.